Today we are going to cook ugali, millet ugali. There are quite a number of you who've been asking me whenever I show photos of ugali. That's the brown cake. You've been asking how we prepare that. So for today, I'm going to show you how to start it off in this bubbling water. So I'm going to add flour. So this is the ugali, the millet flour that I'm adding. We normally call it millet flour, but it's not just millet flour. It's a mixture of many different types of flour, but millet is the main ingredients. For those of you who might be wondering what I call ugali, so that's how we write ugali. Even though most people call it millet ugali, and I know there are some people, different parts of the world, who use only millet flour to make the ugali, but where I come from in Kenya, it's a mixture of many different types of grains. So we mix different proportions of millet. We add sorghum, we add cassava, and depending on who you are preparing it for, then you can add other things. There are times when you can add groundnuts, you can add beans. And if you're making it, as I said, depends on who you're going to prepare the ugali or the porridge for. If you are winning a baby, a child, then you add other things so that it's more nutritious, it's more balanced. What we do after adding flour at this stage and the ugali is bubbling, I cover it up and give it a few minutes for it to start cooking. And while waiting for that, because I'm making another dish on this burner, so I'll check on that. So what about you? I'll be interested to hear, have you eaten millet ugali before, or ugali made out of maize flour, that's corn flour? How do you prepare it? So for us, I forgot to show you the cooking stick. So whenever you come to my house and you see this and maybe you've been wondering what it is for, it's for fixing ugali, cooking ugali. So soon you're going to see why this particular cooking stick, why it's very important in a kitchen or a place where we need to cook ugali. We have a lot of funny stories about people who move especially to cities or to different countries of the world, and they realize they look for flour, corn flour or the millet flour. You know, somebody is happy that they have everything to go and cook ugali, but that's before they realize that they don't have the cooking stick. I've been in that situation before. I tried, you know, the small ones that are sold in regular markets. It did not work. I ended up breaking so many of them. Like, if you try to use these ones, which are mostly for vegetables, then it ends up breaking, because as you can tell, let me use this one, which I'm not cooking with. As you can tell, there's a big difference between this cooking stick for ugali and these other ones for vegetables. So part of the art of preparing ugali is having the right, should I call them, instruments. So before you start, make sure you have a cooking pot. It's best if you have one which has a handle, because as you can see, you need to hold the cooking pot while you cook. But if you don't have one with a handle, then you just get mittens, and you can use that to hold it. So what I normally do after the ugali has bubbled for enough time. Then I start mixing it, and as you can see, it's very porridge-like. It's like a thick porridge at that stage. So I'm going to add in more flour because today we are not preparing porridge, we are making ugali. So I'm adding more flour to get it to the stage of ugali. And I know what some of you are going to ask is about proportions or a recipe. Normally, I don't have a recipe for preparing ugali, but if you need that, then I can prepare one for you. But the way we were taught, growing up, it's you keep on adding flour until, there's a way, if you've done it enough times, you are able to tell that you've added enough. Even though there are times when we add and we are like, oh, it's too much. But today, it's not yet too much. It appears at the beginning like I've added too much flour, but you will see as we continue. As I mentioned, I've done this like forever because where I come from, we start learning how to prepare ugali because it's a main dish. When you hear people from my ethnic group saying they've not eaten for 2 or 3 days or for a week, it's not that they've not eaten food, but it's that they've not eaten ugali. They've been eating maybe rice, they've been eating chapati, they've been eating sweet potatoes, they've been eating chapati, samosa, bananas, all sorts of food, food items, but you'll find that some of them, especially the elderly people, if they've not eaten ugali, then they'll be like, oh, I haven't eaten for so many days. So I wonder where you come from. Do you have a dish that people call food? And then for the other dishes of food, they call them by name. For example, my people call ugali is what they call food. And then for the other dishes, they call them, if it's rice, they'll say rice, they'll say chapati. So I feel like I've added enough unga. That's the flour, so I'm going to pull this from nearby there so that I can have enough space for cooking. Whenever I drip any flour, I like to wipe it out so that it does not burn. Yeah, I was talking about the cultural practices or beliefs around what constitutes food and what's just something that people eat and to chase away the hunger while they wait for food. So if I know some people from my home area, if you gave them something like rice, they would consider that to be a snack and they continue waiting for food, which is ugali. And for the millet ugali, it's not a daily dish that we cook. Actually, it used to be like a special dish that we used to prepare for maybe if there were visitors or like once or twice a week. Otherwise, in most of the days, it used to be ugali made out of maize flour. So that's the white one. And because of that, you'll find that not everybody can prepare ugali that's the ugali from the millet, this unga that we call millet, but it's a mixture of many different types of flour. Then you find that not everybody can prepare this, so it's like a skill. Actually, when we were growing up, even nowadays, I still hear when I travel back to Kenya, I still hear of people with stories narrating of how so-and-so, they'll name a person, that's the one who is normally called whenever people have visitors. they'll be like, oh, call so and so to come and prepare ugali. So it's not a skill that everybody has, but for the white ugali, that one is a common skill. So as you can see, it's a skill because it takes energy, and because the flour is very refined, the millet flour, then it's like it takes time, because as you can see, there are still what we call chintobe, ugali, the flour hiding somewhere. So you have to continue cooking the food until there is no more flour. But even though I say there's no more flour, you'll find that once I'm done and I've served the ugali, you'll still come across a few of those. But for the very elderly people like my mom, when they were a little bit younger, they would prepare this ugali until there was no grain of flour. It's a skill. I can also do that. Actually, I consider myself one of the experts because even whenever I am home, like with my siblings, and we are preparing this ugali, normally I would be the one doing it. They know how to do it, but I consider myself the main expert. So I do this. As you can see, you have to continue squishing it. We call cooking it. And why we continue doing this, it's the millet has to cook. This is not food that you can, let's say, if you had a machine that you can run it for a few minutes, because you want the flour also to cook. So for you, what type of dish do you call food where you come from, or where your parents come from, or in your home in the city? You can comment below and let us know. And I'll be interested to know which city you're watching me from, and if this is a regular dish in your house, and if there are any stories behind this. For example, mostly people prepare this ugali if they are eating it with beef stew, chicken, nyama choma. It's rare when you'll find somebody preparing the brown ugali or millet ugali to eat it just with vegetables or even with beans. Even though we still do that, we can eat it with beans or vegetables, especially the indigenous vegetables like saga, managua. We can use it to eat this ugali. But people associate it with meats, yeah, because it's a special dish. So as you can see, I've squished it and most of the flour is gone. So I'm going to cover it for a few minutes, lower the fire, and let it cook. So if you have a question, type it below there and respond to them. Oh, and I forgot to put on a timer so that we can know when it will be ready. This is ugali. Normally for children who are not so used to this, when they see it, they are like, oh, you've made a very big chocolate, you've prepared cake. And some of them wait to be served because they are like, oh, we are going to eat cake or we are going to eat chocolate, until they taste it and they are like, oh, there's no sugar. And that's when I tell them, like, no, we don't add sugar to ugali. We make it tasty by eating it with something else. So yeah, I'll cover it for a few minutes before I continue cooking again. Okay, so I'm going to open and see what has been going on. Ooh. No, it's not burning. Nothing is burning. It's because I had covered the ugali. As you can see, I don't know if you can tell the difference, but for me, I'm able to tell that the ugali is now cooked by looking at the grains, how the grains are holding on to each other. But you'll only be able to do that after you've prepared this ugali many times. Even the maize ugali, there is a way, even if the ugali is now into, can I say, holding on to each other, you cannot see any flour. But if you missed one of the steps when you are preparing it, then you can tell that the ugali is not well cooked. And it's something that perplexes many people. I remember there's a time I was teaching some young lady how to prepare ugali, and I think at some stage she felt like she was ready, so she decided to give me a surprise. I wasn't around, but she knew the time when I would be getting back and decided to prepare ugali. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, you removed the ugali from the fire before it was fully cooked, and that's the white ugali. Later on, after she learned, that's many years later, after she learned how to tell ready ugali from raw ugali, that's when she confessed to me, like, oh, imagine the last time many years ago when you came home, you looked at the ugali and you were like, oh, you did not let it cook. So she told me that time she was offended because for her, the ugali was ready because it was held together. But then later on, after she also now became an expert, she confessed to me that nowadays she can tell by just looking how the grains are holding together. She can tell if the ugali is fully cooked or not. So yeah, this is something, one of those things that you've been doing for so long, quite well. And other people wonder how you can do that, but for you, because it's something you've grown up with, you are able to tell. So preparing ugali is one of those. Now, yeah, it's ready, so I'm going to serve the ugali. So normally, just like any other food, normally whenever you cover it, then there's a lot of heat held in between there. I don't know if you can see from there. Yeah, so I've brought the plate, and this is after doing it for so long. So for me, I'm able to do that. But if you are trying it for the first time, I wouldn't advise you to do that, because I know of people who've turned the cooking pot with a lot of force and they end up breaking their plate. But for me, I've done it for long enough to do that. So now you can see we have our ugali, our millet ugali, which is ready. It's still steaming because it's hot ugali. And yeah, if it was, I think I need to make it more round. If you're presenting it to visitors, especially to people who rarely visit you and you really want to create an impression, you can use that to align it well. So that's the cooking stick, and I'm aligning the ugali. So that's how we prepare ugali. And if you prepare it, if you have many other dishes that you need to prepare, but the ugali is ready, and that's what I normally do if I have visitors. If the ugali is ready, then you can use the same hot cooking pot to cover it as a way to keep it warm, keep it hot, or you can serve it into an aluminum foil onto the plate, so that after that you turn the aluminium foil to cover it completely, and then you can add the cooking pot on top. If you do that, you'll find that 1 hour later, or even more than an hour after that, the ugali will still be hot or warm in a nice way. Yeah, so that's how you prepare millet ugali. For those of you who've been wondering, who've been asking me, so I'm going to take a photo and share this again online, so that whoever misses to see the video, then they can see the ugali. Ask me all types of questions that come to mind when you see this. So, if you're new here, my name is Eileen, an author of 15 books, fiction and non-fiction. I come here to share information about what I'm doing to continue staying healthy and wealthy. So come along with me, especially if you're in your 40s, your 50s and beyond, and learn about the food choices that I'm making. I'll take you along to the grocery stores where I get the foods from. And during the food cultivation season, I take you along to my urban garden because I grow food in my city. Once I have all the food items together, you will come along with me to my kitchen so that you can learn about my recipes. In doing all this, I don't forget about my loved ones. So I'll share with you strategies on how I stay in touch and how we continue to provide for our elderly parent from afar, remotely, sometimes from thousands of kilometers away. And as the sun sets, you'll come along with me to my writing desk so that you can learn about my writing strategy, how I write and what I write about. So if any of these items that I talk about and do is of interest to you, that's food choices, grocery shopping, gardening, providing care to elderly parents, and also writing books, then come along with me, subscribe so that you can continue learning while I do. So for now, it's a goodbye and see you in the next video.